Be sure to like and subscribe. There's still time to share with your friends. We will be live in 3 minutes. Like, subscribe, and share. Be sure to comment for live answers during the podcast. We will see you in studio in 30 seconds. And now for the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast Out There Winning with James and Akeem.
If you hadn't had an opportunity, go ahead and smash that like button, share it, and also follow us there on YouTube.
Today, live in the studio, we have Mayor of Mount Sterling, Al Botts, with us.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
James, Akeem, thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Honored to be on with you. Thank you.
We're going to jump into it right away. There's a lot of stuff I think we could talk about, but, what makes a person want to become mayor of their town?
I don't know. I've thought about that long and hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, you know what? Life, you go down different paths in life, and you never know what journey where that journey's going to lead you.
Right.
And so, just a brief background: I graduated from Montgomery County High School. Ended up having a great 20-year career as a United States Marine.
I appreciate your service.
Came back home. Thank you so much. Came back home. Worked for the Department of Veterans Affairs for 9 years. Loved my job. But an opportunity presented itself to go to work for my local government, to go to work for my hometown.
Right.
And how can you pass that up?
Right.
So, had served as a council member for 4 years. So when the opportunity presented itself, I put my name in the hat. I ran, had a great election, had a great opponent that we were very civil in our election.
Sure.
It was good to talk about issues. And we both loved this community, and we both wanted what was best for it. I was very fortunate enough to come out on top. And shout out to Kurt Stagger. He's been nothing but an awesome guy to me and a good supporter. And then, I'm 6 years into this now.
Right.
Think about how time flies.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to feel a little pressure, like, we still got a lot to get done.
Yeah.
But how you get into it, I tell folks all the time, just enjoy that journey you have in life. And you all probably had not thought, a few years back you'd be doing a podcast.
Right.
But, opportunities present themselves. I was very fortunate enough to have this one, and haven't looked back. It's been very rewarding.
Now, you had some military experience. Let's talk about, your military experience. What'd you do in the military?
Yeah, 20 years as a United States Marine. Took me all around the world. I think 28 different countries. So had that experience to see the world, see that the world was bigger than just Mount Sterling, Kentucky, or, Kentucky. I got to go have some great experiences. So my specialty, my MOS, military occupational specialty, was nuclear, biological, and chemical defense. So I served enlisted for 13 years, and then became a warrant officer. So it's a restricted level officer, and that was the last 7 years of my career. So that took me really those experiences all around the world. The duties that are associated with that are basically force protection, making sure that our force was prepared to fight in a chemical, biological, or radiological contaminated type area. And then making sure that we could, train our folks to not only survive in those areas, but detect those threats. A lot of my career was operations, and that has certainly helped me as mayor, seeing kind of big picture things, trying to see threats that are out there, identify ways to address those threats head on.
Be proactive
in our thought processes. So a lot of what I learned as a Marine, has carried over to my current duties. But, you talk about, stepping back. There was a lot of times that I said, I can't believe I'm a kid from Mount Sterling, Kentucky, and I am meeting George Herbert Walker Bush, or I'm holding the door open for Bill Clinton, or that I'm on a convoy that's rolling into Kuwait during Desert Storm. Having those type of opportunities, just something that I wouldn't trade for anything. And, I would have kept going. 20 years goes by. Doesn't seem like it when you're in. It goes by quick. But I had a son that was getting ready to start high school, and I wanted to make sure that I was going to be dad on Friday nights and be there to root him on during his football games or track meets or whatever it was he was doing. I wanted to be dad. So very rewarding experience. I appreciate the question about that, because I am very proud, and I'm still a Marine, still advocate for veterans issues.
Absolutely.
Still try to know where all the Marines are in the community. I like saying I know where my backup's at if I need it.
Right.
Well,
and just bringing those folks together.
Well, Al, you never run into a Marine that says they're an ex-Marine.
That's right.
They're all... Yeah.
James, that's a good point. And if they say that, they probably got in trouble. That means they kicked them out.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, once a Marine, always a Marine, and that's kind of our ethos and, our motto.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned it. You talked about with the military background and carrying that over to the job duties that you're doing today. As a Marine, you detect hazards or positive things and so forth. How do you do that as the mayor? Like, what are some of your top priorities?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, One, I do address a lot of what I do. It's the things that I learned as a United States Marine. One of those is a motto of mine I picked up from a great commander once. It said, "Brilliance in the basics." Everything that you do the most basic things brilliantly, and if you can do that, the big things will work out. So I kind of address that to make sure that I am on top of everything that's going on, that I know what our patrol officers are facing out there, what our public works guys are doing, the obstacles that they have, the challenges they have, so it'll help me better understand, their roles and responsibilities. And then, sometimes as a leader, you've just got to be able to be there to help. You've got to be there to say, what do you need? What can I give you to succeed? And so a lot of what I do with the city is just that. What are we needing? What can I help obtain? What funding sources do I need to go after? What can I do to help with pay or benefits? Those type things to attract good people. And looking at priorities, my priorities have always been safety and security. We have to make sure we have a community that people feel safe in, that they have a good partnership and trust in their local police forces, that they know that they can reach out at any time, to make to bring forth a question or a complaint or an issue. We've done a good job of that community policing piece. We're not perfect, but that's what we strive to be.
Sure.
Perfect. And then, so the safety and security piece, you want folks to feel safe in their communities. And then two, improving our infrastructure. So I'd always say, what I ran for office, streets and safety and security, streets and sidewalks. And then so that streets and sidewalks is the infrastructure piece. Making sure we've got good water, good sewer, we're working on our sidewalks.
Right.
We're trying to chip away as we can. We're so far behind on repaving streets, trying to get caught up on that. And just doing all those little things brilliantly every single day, trying to make little improvements along the way. But that's kind of been my focus, is, those two core areas, safety and security, and then our infrastructure upgrades.
Right. And that's a whole lot.
It is absolutely a lot.
That's a day's work within itself.
It is. And just making sure that, not only are those things important, but I've said before, and Akeem, you and I have had conversations, but I've said, everybody views their local government from their front porch.
Right.
So if you look out and you see that a police car is patrolling your neighborhood, check. The crime rates, are the street lights on? Check.
Right.
Is the street not full of potholes? Check. So if we're doing those things, full of potholes, check. So if we're doing those things right, is the trash being picked right? Is the trash being picked up right?
Which I see you do all the time.
Right, and I'm doing that up right.
Which I see you do all the time.
Right, and I'm doing that. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
They take pictures of you, put it on Facebook.
I know you do that well.
But if we can do all of those things right, then all the bigger stuff, it's going to start working out. Do all of those things right, then all the bigger stuff, it's going to start working out for us, and it has. We've taken on a lot of projects and a lot of different initiatives. Taken on a lot of projects and a lot of different initiatives. So just good things are happening. I'm very proud of where good things are happening. I'm very proud of where we've come from since 2019.
Absolutely.
But still got a lot of work to do.
So 2019.
Absolutely.
But still got a lot of work to do.
So some of the things as far as cleaning up, and I don't know what it's called, but I know that where I grew up as a child, we lived on Mitchell Street.
Yes.
And those houses in that area aren't the same houses that were there when I was there.
Right.
It's totally different. I mean, that's like, they got like nice houses through there. When I grew up, up there, they were not nice.
Yeah.
They'd
seen their better days.
Yeah, tell us about what's going on with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the city of Mount Sterling was able to apply for grants. That was part of a Maddie League grants, is what it was called, but to basically go in and do block housing grants. So it was taking down all of the older structures, some of those blighted and abandoned or dilapidated, and then building brand new structures. So You all may have seen, and that was a very successful project, and we had 2.5 streets completed with that. And we had 2.5 streets completed with that. 2.3 streets or so, or I'm sorry, 2.75 streets. We almost got that 3 streets or so, or I'm sorry, 2.75 streets. We almost got that Jameson Street done. But we wanted to move forward with that, but you can only really have one huge block grant out at a time. And as you notice, we've done the post clinic. We've been involved in that. And that had taken up a couple of years of our time. We've been trying to tear down as many blighted and abandoned and dilapidated structures as we can. As a matter of fact, I'm very proud 41 properties have been demolished since 2019 in this community. City didn't do all of them. Some of those were private property owners that we just said, hey, will you please take care of this issue? And they've done it for us.
I mean, that's
41
that's a safety issue.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
you can take an abandoned house, draw a circle around it, and the crime rate's probably going to be higher. You can take that abandoned house, and it's bringing down everybody else's property values on the street. And I'd said, multiple times, no kid should ever grow up on a street and say, why on my street is there an abandoned house? Why is nobody doing about this? So, we took that personally, really, me and the city council, and we said, we're going to fix this. So to kind of get back to the housing here, so we've got a lot of lots that we're sitting on, and we're hoping to partner with a housing agency that will help us build some. So that's where we're looking to next, is a big block grant to try to build some houses, and not a city block, but that block grant would be a house here, house here, and just trying to chip away at it as we can. I sit in on a brief not too long ago, said we need about 800 homes in Montgomery County just to get us back to where we should be, break even. You all know as well as I do, as many people are traveling in here per day as they're leaving to go work elsewhere. But if we could get those folks living here, some folks that are traveling from Paintsville or Maysville or wherever it is, we could get them to move down here, then now not only are they working here, but they're investing here. Absolutely. They're shopping here. The kids are going to school here. So that's the ultimate goal.
Right.
Eating at a restaurant.
Eating at a restaurant. That's right. I mean, it's fueling your own economy here,
When you talk about, that's a big picture. That's awful. You're talking about the impact on a child. That doesn't have to look at a dilapidated house, and they could say, And
I can speak firsthand on it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I've seen somebody get stabbed in front of my house, and it was because of what was going on.
The area.
Right.
I can probably count, if I was going to walk to the store when I was a kid, that there was 2 or 3 houses that you'd go to the other side of the road on.
Right.
As a kid, you're kind of scared of that stuff.
Yeah,
anyways.
absolutely.
But you would go to the other side of the road.
Yeah.
I'd cross the street 3 times on my way to the store.
Yeah. Yeah, and so. It's a tough way to grow up, right? Yeah. And we don't want that for kids. We want every generation to be better than the previous generation. And, here in this community, we put it off probably too long addressing some of these blighted properties. So just so thankful. I've got a great city council that's supported me. We've all been, it's not me, it's us. It's a we effort around here. And we've been able to have so many, successes in that area, and we're really excited if we can just find somebody to partner with us to help build some houses. That's the ultimate goal.
Right. Now, obviously, being in a leadership role, obviously as a coach, I would speak from a coach's standpoint. You're not going to make everybody happy.
Yeah, I learned that pretty early.
You're not going to make everybody happy. I
read Facebook. I know not everybody's happy with me.
And that just comes with the job, right? Like, it just comes with the territory. But the ultimate goal is, as you mentioned, this is for everybody.
It is.
It ain't just, for, Hakeem Scott or James Willoughby or whatnot. This is for the city of Mount Sterling, and it seems like you've been doing a great job. I know we've had discussions. We may have some agreements and disagreements on things, but there's civil ways to do things.
Absolutely,
there's definitely civil ways to do things, and I appreciate what you all do down there as a city council. I've sat on many of them, and the way you all talk through things and really find a common ground. I wish today's world could do that a little bit more.
I do too, and I think. The best form of government is your local government. It's the government that you have the most ability to change.
Yeah.
Stand up
I
and talk.
can't, that's right. I can't go to Washington, D.C. and get on the Senate floor or the House floor and speak.
Right.
I'd be lucky to be able to get an audience with one of our elected representatives up there.
Right.
At the state, I can give my input to our state senator and our state representative, and they've both been wonderful about hearing us out and what we want to do. But, you can't make change at the state. But at your local level, a citizen can go to a meeting and stand up and speak, and all are welcome. We've never turned anybody away from a meeting. You can let your thoughts, your concerns be known,
Right.
and that's where you can make change. And hey, I got to go to Kroger just like you do, right?
Right.
So I got to shop. When I go to the store, I'm gonna be there a while because I'm usually gonna have somebody that says, "Hey, I've been meaning to talk to you about."
Right,
Whatever it is. And that's okay. That's small town. That's what small town life's all about.
Right.
And you want to be able to know that, I want citizens, if they've got an issue or concern, come to me, let me know, let's see how we can fix it. Sometimes I can't. There's just some things I can't fix. I've learned that too.
Right.
When you're new to office, you think, I'm going to fix it all. And it doesn't take you long to realize there's some things that are just, it's bigger than us. And when you kind of have those challenges, you run up against those roadblocks, you really got to figure out, well, then how can we come to a compromise? How can we sit down and talk just back and forth?
Right.
You guys haven't always agreed with me. I
Sure.
may not always agreed with
Right,
you, but it's
absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You stay civil and you say, let's figure out how to be a team or a partnership here and
Right.
fix these issues.
So people don't feel like they're getting left out in the cold.
Absolutely.
Right. You
Yeah.
want to make people feel like you're trying to help.
Yeah,
and you
absolutely.
are trying to help. And
Yeah.
that means a lot. And what I like about local government, and I know this at at your office, is that, man, if it's office hours, somebody can run in there, and if you're not there, they'll leave a message for you.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a neat thing that people don't do. They just want to be mad.
Yeah.
And
I want you to come to.
Yeah,
if you're mad, I would much rather you give me a call, or let's talk this thing through. Let's sit down over lunch if we have to, but let's figure out a compromise. And on another point of local government, we are so very fortunate as a city government. We're nonpartisan.
Yeah.
So there's not been one time we have went into those council chambers with a D or an R or an I'm an I,
Right.
that we have ever looked at what political party we're a part of and made a decision. It's always been what is in the best interest of Mount Sterling.
Right.
we got one of each right here. We got a D, an R, and an I.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and that's good, and
Yeah.
and that's what we want in the communities. You should be able to sit around, and laugh, and talk, and
That's right.
Yeah,
well, it's just a
enjoy
big melting
conversations.
pot, right? Like,
It is.
I mean, because at the end of the day, like we talk about, everybody may have a different path to get to the same point, or the same goal. And we may agree or disagree, but at the end of the day, as long as everybody's working together and it's harmonious and
we all love our community.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, this is
Everybody.
all. We all grew up here.
Yeah,
we all love this
absolutely.
place.
Yes.
And there's folks that are here, like Dr. King. She didn't grow up here, but boy, she loves this community.
I'm telling you.
Nobody'd ever question that. So
Yeah.
we all may have different political beliefs, backgrounds, thoughts about what the best way to get to a solution is, but there's one thing I do know: we all do love our community.
Right.
We should be working together.
Yeah. What are some projects that we have on the table right now that's dealing with Mount Sterling?
We've got a bunch. Currently ongoing. We've got some in the pipeline. Probably the biggest one that we have been waiting anxiously to kick off is that downtown sidewalk project.
Okay.
I am so frustrated that we are in July and we have not received the notice to proceed from the state yet. We were hoping to get that in the early spring, but just to recap, that is brand new sidewalks from Sycamore Street to Queen Street along Main Street, and from Main Street to High Street along North Maysville Street.
And that should encourage
So,
a lot of exercise and walking.
$1.6 million project. So we want to get rid of the old sidewalks, put in brand new ones, building green space down there, just make them have a good, attractive look, kind of like South Maysville. You know how South Maysville looks. So we want to bring that look up to Main Street, and that's been a goal for a while. So we're anxiously awaiting to get that project started. Right behind that, we'll have another sidewalk project going out along North Maysville Street as you leave the downtown and heading out toward Family Dollar and Carrington Drug along that corridor. So to repair all of the older sidewalks, the sidewalks that have trip hazards, so just spruce that area up a bit.
Right.
Some areas don't have sidewalks.
They've had trip hazards since I was a kid.
Yeah, certainly not throwing any stones, because Burt May was such a good mayor and did everything he could with what he had. Gary Williamson was a good mayor, did everything he could with what he had. We're very fortunate now that there are funding programs that weren't always available, through the state, federal government, that we're taking advantage of. We're very fortunate that as a city, we have a little extra money to be able to take on some of these projects when they had challenges that I did not. And those two helped set me up for success. So, all the props to them for everything they've done. But those are the two of the biggest, those two sidewalk projects. We are looking to move forward on a revamp of the Adena Trail. So, if you've been down to the farmers market recently, in 2019 there wasn't anything down there. So we now have a farmers market. We have bathrooms down there. We have parking areas down there. That's became
and it's a really nice area.
It's really nice.
It's not just something thrown together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, but we want to make it even better.
Yeah.
And I had the inspiration. Went to Owensboro 2 or 3 years ago, and I saw what could be. They have a riverfront. Now, I've got a creek, okay? So I don't have a riverfront, but I've got a creek.
Gribble Park area?
Yeah, so we've got Hingston Creek that flows downtown.
Yeah.
They've got a river, so it's a little different. But they've got a beautiful park area that they've developed right on the river that's got playgrounds and gathering spaces. And
Now, if it rains pretty good, you got a nice river.
You can,
You can.
but I don't want to see that.
We don't want to see that at all. Yeah.
So we are actually soliciting ideas from the public. Gateway Regional Arts Center, and I want to make sure that I'm giving the proper dates, but the Gateway Regional Arts Center is hosting a couple of events that allow people to come forward and kind of give their input on design along the Adena Trail, what they'd like to see. And go figure, that's the one thing I didn't bring with me. I thought I had it.
So I need to get my crayons.
Here we go. Reimagining the Adena Trail area in downtown Mount Sterling. So on July 31st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Du Bois Community Center, that'll be an open forum, and we'd like the public to come out and just say, what would you like to see in all that green space down there? You know, what could we build? And we'd have to, part of this Citizens Institute on Rural Design that's helping us out, they're going to try to help us design that, and then we just got to figure out how to pay for it. But that's another thing we're moving forward with. The City Council had decided that we want to move forward with a stage down there so that we would have a place to have outdoor music performances or Shakespeare in the Park, those type things. But we want to go the next step on beyond that. So that's something we're looking to do also. So,
and is that in the area that was formerly Pribble Park, where the Bark Park and stuff is?
So
or is that...
good question. So that green space in between what is the Bark Park, that where South Sycamore ends, and there's a parking area down there. We repaved that. I think while you were serving on the Parks and Rec Commission there, we were able to repave that parking lot. And then so all that green space, we want to try to find the answer. What do we do to make this a gathering place? Good communities are creating gathering places, and we need to continue to do that. So that's kind of a dream of ours, you know, how we can get there to just make that place even more spectacular than it is now. But so that's kind of big three right now. We're still plugging away at the blighted and abandoned and dilapidated issues. Still got a few more homes that we need to tear down. I'm meeting this week actually to talk about grant funding to see how we can put together a grant and build some houses on those empty lots. So that's been taking place. You know, a lot of what we're doing is just the small little touches around town to improve things. I don't know if you've noticed in Main Street Park, sometimes it's the little things. New trash cans with logos on them. We got a brand new clock that says Mount Sterling, Kentucky on it. One, the clock works. Okay?
Yeah.
Clock wasn't where only one side of that clock was working.
Yeah.
And then the season where we couldn't get it to roll back, roll forward, do any of that. So one side wasn't working and the other side was only accurate for half the year, during daylight savings time or whatever. But so we got a new clock, and it has Mount Sterling, Kentucky on it, and it's just another signature for the community. So all sorts of little things like that we're doing to just try to improve things where we can. Our public works has been out fixing sidewalks in neighborhoods, so we're trying to take those projects on. So storm drain repairs, just a whole lot of good going on.
We see it for sure.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, and we will be right back after some words from our sponsors.
Out There Winning podcast is brought to you in part by Dubby, your taste buds' favorite energy drink.
Follow your bubby over to Facebook and click on the W. Get a 10% discount with our code Out There Winning. Fishes and Honeycomb Children's Boutique, where every outfit tells a story and every toy sparks imagination.
From beautiful dresses to adorable t-shirts, we have the perfect ensemble for every occasion.
Fishes and Honeycomb Children's Boutique at fishesandhoneycomb.com. Also, follow us on Facebook. Great Yard Prime Wash, Pressure Wash, and Soft Wash Services.
Destroying grime, one house at a time. Contact Great Yard Prime Wash at greatyardprimewash.com.
Pool Brothers. Turn your backyard into a dream oasis.
Complete pool installations from start to finish. Contact Pool Brothers at poolbrothers.com.
Chill Zone CBD at chillzonecbd.com.
Discover the natural benefits of CBD with our premium products. Whether you're seeking for relaxation, relief, or rejuvenation, our CBD's offering have you covered.
Your journey to natural relief starts at Chill Zone CBD. chillzonecbd.com.
Travel.
Escape the ordinary and explore the extraordinary. Travel packages tailored to satisfy every wanderlust. Whether you crave the serenity of pristine beaches, the thrill of vibrant cities, awe-inspiring beauty of nature's wonders, we have the perfect destination waiting for you.
X-Power Travel at xpowertravel.com. Next Level Entertainment.
Elevate your event to the next level with our premier mobile DJ services. Whether you're planning a wedding, corporate event, birthday bash, or any special occasion, our professional DJs are here to keep the party rocking all night long.
Find us on Facebook at Next Level Entertainment. Out There Winning podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. We're here with the mayor of Mount Sterling, Al Botts, and we just talked about some current stuff that's going on with Mount Sterling, and I'm sure there's a lot more to talk about. Al, before we got started, you were talking about some stuff that's coming up that you guys have in a pipeline that's like right now. What's going on with the medical marijuana?
Medical cannabis, yeah, great question. So, yeah, that's been something that's been a hot topic, not only here in the city but in the county, how we move forward as a community with this newly legalized medication, which is medical cannabis. So the state assembly has permitted medical cannabis in the state, not only for users but for cultivators, processors, dispensers, right? So this is a new reality for us, so we had to make a decision pretty quick because in January this system goes live.
Yeah.
And people can obtain medical cannabis cards from the state. Businesses can open, and start dispensing medical cannabis. So as you can see, we're at June and that thing's going live in January. We had to move quick. So the city council has discussed it over the past couple of months. We did choose to move forward to allow medical cannabis facilities in the city limits of Mount Sterling. So we had three options, and I probably should have started that. We could have allowed it and just said we're gonna, or we could do nothing.
All right.
And if we did nothing, then it's a default automatic, right? Then we could allow it and pass a resolution to say we allow this, and then pass an ordinance to put what restrictions we want to put on it. That's the route we've chosen. Or we could have passed an ordinance that said we don't want this in our community. Or we could have allowed it to went to a ballot measure. So unsure which way the county's going to go yet. I know they're still having some town halls. But the city of Mount Sterling City Council has voted to allow medical cannabis facilities within the city limits, and we have already had one reading of an ordinance to declare what zones those could go in within the city limits. So it makes sense you want a dispensary to go in a business zone, not a residential.
Right,
So,
absolutely.
So if I'm dumb, right? Let's just say I'm dumb for a minute. A lot of people might agree. Medical cannabis, we're talking like what is a dispensary? What do they have there?
So that's a great question. So one, this medical cannabis, these are all part of frequently asked questions that we get all the time. The state has permitted for this to be grown, processed, and dispensed. Once it's dispensed, it may only be dispensed in a form that is edible, or like a lotion, which can be applied, or in a concentrate that would be like a vape, so you could vape it. So it's not to be smoked,
Sure.
And that trips up a lot of people thinking that,
They're
it's
just
your
leaving it buying
traditional
and buying,
marijuana,
yeah.
the way that, people tend to ingest that. So those are the permitted ways that a user, if they obtain a card from the state, would be able to take a medical cannabis. What we were discussing and what we were looking at as a community, and communities across this whole state are doing the same thing, where could it be grown within the city limits? We've said it can be grown in an agriculture space or an industrial space. By the way, it's all going to be indoors, right? Where would it be processed? So you take the grown product and process it into a way that it could be ingested, right? Or, brought into the body. And then the dispensary is much like a pharmacy.
Right.
The dispensaries cannot sell anything except medical cannabis. They would only be able to provide that to you with a legal medication, as a legal medication, through a prescription that would be written by a licensed physician. So you can't just walk in and buy it, right? So a doctor's got to prescribe it. And within those dispensaries, there can be no other business. So you can't sell walkers or shoes or aspirin or other medications. Pop, nothing.
Yeah.
You will only walk in a dispensary and be able to obtain medical cannabis.
Now, this might be another frequently asked question because my little mind starts going. It has to be grown within city limits, and it has to be processed. Now, is the same company growing it, processing it, and dispensing it?
Yeah. So another good question.
Yeah.
I feel like you've done some homework on this.
No homework.
No, okay. So
Haven't done that
across the
far.
state, and I didn't give you those numbers, but
Yeah.
across the state, they're only allowing 48 dispensaries initially. All right, so you
That's
can do the
across the
math.
state. Yeah.
Across the state, there's 120 counties,
Right.
and Fayette County gets 2, and Jefferson County gets 2, so that takes it down to 44.
Right.
And the state has divided up the state into regions. So we're in the northeast region, so we have 4 dispensaries in this region. Our region is Mount Sterling to Ashland up to Maysville.
Wow.
So when you look at where could those 4 dispensaries go, you if you're just looking at population, Mount Sterling, Maysville, Moorhead, Ashland seem like spots that
Be
people
more-
would like to put those dispensaries.
Right.
Part of what the state is doing is wanting to make sure that patients would have to travel no farther than a county or two to be able to obtain this medication if they want it. So that's the dispensaries.
Sure.
The cultivators, I believe, are only 16 cultivators across the state. So you may have you can do the math there. So what is that? Every 10, 12 counties, something like
yeah.
that, may have a cultivating facility.
Yeah.
And then processors, I'm not sure the exact number of those off the top of my head, but they'll be able to track, they're so detailed with the way this law is written, where it is grown, where that product is going to be processed, and then where it ends up in a community and being dispensed. And that's important because there's also medical safety compliance facilities that will be doing spot checks of products at every level to make sure that they're safe.
Right.
And if there's a bad batch or a bad lot, they'll be able to recall that.
it.
State of Kentucky has done an excellent job in drafting.
Is to do it now, because if you say you're going to do it and that you got the okay through the state, then it doesn't matter what the county, if they go ahead and say yes or
Right.
no, because it's going to be in the city. It
Right.
doesn't,
So,
you know.
so here's what our
There's only so
decision-making
many.
process
Yeah.
was as a city council and myself, as we've talked about these things, is if we have patients in our community that are in need of a legal medication, do we want them to be able to obtain that here, or do we want them to have to drive to another county to get that?
Right.
We have this wonderful hospital here. We got a lot of great doctors. Sterling Healthcare. We got all these great medical
Facilities here.
So if a doctor writes a prescription, then we want them to be able to get that here. Doesn't mean we're going to get a dispensary.
Right.
We've just said it's okay if you open a dispensary here. Also with that, if there's only 4 in our region, we like to say we're a leader and that we're a regional leader, and people come here to go to the medical appointment, shop, come out to eat, do whatever they're going to do. We like to say we're a leader. So we want to lead in this area, and if folks from surrounding communities come over here, they're going to buy gas here, they're going to eat here, they're going to shop here.
Tourism.
Stay here.
Yeah, they're seeing their doctor here anyway
Right.
in a lot of cases. So, that's kind of our decision-making process. It's back like, when we went through the conversation about Sunday sales with alcohol, 2020, we passed that to go 7 days a week for package sales.
Yeah.
We were, folks were having to drive on a Sunday to another community to buy a legal beverage.
Right.
So, we thought we've got to do better than that, and that's why we went 7 days a week. So we've kind of looked at it the same way, that if this is a legal medication, why should a citizen not be able to obtain it in their own community?
Right. No, it's I've always appreciated on that type of thinking as well. I mean, obviously there's it's good and bad with everything, right?
Absolutely.
I guess just playing devil's advocate, because I know the benefits of the medical cannabis. I've seen people in our communities, around our communities, obviously have access to medical cannabis, and I've seen it work. So I guess some of the questions would be, what about some of these, of course I know it's not cannabis, but it's the THC that you find at light gas stations, and getting that into the school system, so to speak. Would this, I don't want to sound naive, but does this open this up for more kids to get access? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a huge concern of folks. That's a
Right.
concern of ours too.
Sure.
And that's heavy to weigh. That's
Yeah.
part of leadership.
Right.
That's why I've gone gray pretty quickly. That's why I can see some gray
I'm
in
telling
y'all's
you.
hairs.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, when you're a leader in your community, you sometimes have restless nights thinking about these
Right.
things and weighing those, and that has been a huge consideration. I appreciate our school board, our superintendent. They have those concerns, and they have expressed those to us,
Right.
and we've taken that into account. But when we've weighed that, we feel they have mechanisms they can put in place to try to address that within the school. Some folks have said, they worry about this access. Some folks have said, they worry about this access for kids. I go back to, somebody that's struggling. I go back to, somebody that's struggling with a chronic illness or PTSD, who's through whatever treatments they're having, they've lost their appetite. If medical cannabis can bring them relief and make their lives better, I don't think they're going to be trying to. They're going to want to use that. They're not going to be trying to allow that to get out there. We know the reality is there's going to be some folks that get a hold of it that shouldn't. What they face is the danger of losing their medical cannabis card if they do that.
I guess on medical cannabis, it's like I would assume there'd be an age limit or whatever they're going to put on that to who can go into a store.
Right. So there will be cards issued, one for adults.
Yep.
There will be a caregiver card that can be issued if someone is of underage. The child would still be able to get one if they rated a card, but there'd be a caregiver that could pick that up for them. The same as with a senior that may have an issue. Right. So there's going to be a caregiver card that can also be issued there. So those will keep those uncomfortable situations with maybe exposing kids to something they shouldn't be.
Right. But and for the record, if this is a count, but I am 100% for medical cannabis, just because from the simple fact of all the mechanisms that are in place. And the effect that it does have on people that need it, people that need it. As you mentioned, or as I said earlier, kids are kids. We were all in high school one time, and
let's not talk about that.
But those files are classified, right, James?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. But
for all of us.
But I'm saying, if a parent who has a medical card, vape, for example, is sitting in the medical cabinet or whatever, and a kid wakes up. Kids are kids. Mm-hmm. That's not going to stop a kid from taking it into a school system or going to, kids are kids. They're always going to be that way. But I do, with that said, though, I'm just saying from a standpoint, it does help people overall. The overall goal is to help people. You have a medical card or access to get in. Right. There's parameters that are set in place. You just can't walk in. Akeem Scott could not just walk in and say, "Hey, I want that up there."
That's right. That's right.
So
it's not recreational, and we make that clear to everybody. This is medicinal.
Yeah. I'm just a fan that if it's going to happen, that I don't have to smell skunky old weed and have to explain that to my 7-year-old, because I do.
There are places you do that. Yeah. Absolutely, you have to have those.
We have to have conversations. What's that smell?
Yeah,
it's a skunk. I'm trying to stay away from it. But there's a lot of places we go that, and people are smoking pot everywhere. To each their own, and if that's what you do, it's what you do. I just hate having to explain it to my kids. That little stuff.
It's another thing the city looked at and weighed is what if this becomes recreational in the future? We'd better have some sort of parameters in place now, on the medicinal side, that would allow us to quickly react if that happens down the road. So, we're putting just a good structure in place that we know. The reality is we may get a dispensary. We may not. I doubt. We don't really have the space, within the city limits that I see a cultivator wanting to come in.
Well, Smithville, it's already been taken up.
It has, and that's in the county. Yeah. So, they still have yet to make a decision. So, when we looked at it, it was really that dispensary that was first and foremost in our minds. But we also thought forward, too, that, what if? It's the what if. What if the federal government changes things? What if the state decides that we're going to go recreational? At least we would have some basic framework in place to be able to deal with it when the time comes.
Now, you were talking about the cultivation side. You said, does it have to be inside the city limits as well? Or can it be outside in the county?
Right now, everything that's been passed, it would be within the city. Okay. And we just don't have a lot of space within the city limits. So, the reality, you would think that like the app harvest model, that's what you would see with somebody trying to set something up that would do a cultivating type facility.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So,
speaking on some other things, we've been a part of First Friday Market.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
First Friday's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a little
absolutely.
something for everybody down there, right? You know,
Pork nachos.
hey, you know, if you want to eat it, it's probably down there. Car shows, music, vendors, all wonderful. We've had, and our downtown shops, because really that's why all this started, is to bring people downtown to try to help those downtown businesses out and help us gather. Because when we gather, I mean, First Fridays are fun. You know, I don't see anybody walking around away with a frown down there. You know, it's good for us to come together as a community. And just like we were talking about earlier, we don't like political conversations down there. We talk about neighborly things down there, and we do a little shopping, do a little dancing, listen to some music. Look at some great cars down there, and eat at our local establishments, whatever it's going to be. But that's one of the things that we've just enjoyed as a local government, of figuring out how we bring people together.
And that thing's very successful. I see people that don't live here anymore. Friends that come from, they live in Louisville or somewhere else. They'll come down for the First Friday.
Coming back.
Come back to hang out and see some people, and people you don't see all the time. There's thousands of people down there. I mean, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And there's stuff for kids.
And there is, And I think the thing that people like about it is you're constantly, you finish a conversation up and you turn around and there's somebody else somebody you haven't seen in a while. And it just, you spend the whole time having conversations and talking to people, Court Day's a great festival, but you can walk down Locust Street at Court Day and maybe not run into anybody, because it's, Court Day is everybody else coming in and enjoying the festival, whereas here this is our time together. So I think that's what's been successful. Great group that's put that together. They're trying new things. They're trying to, you can't let things get stale. So they've been trying to work on new ideas, maybe shift some stuff around here and there. But it's been very popular, and the opportunity to walk around with an open container. That's something we did by creating that entertainment district down there, that you can have an open container and walk around if you want. And to a certain point, we've got signs up. You can't go by them signs.
Don't move the signs.
Don't move the signs on. Somebody did that one night.
I believe it. Yeah. They was drinking.
Yeah. Somebody moved that sign down the block on me. They were trying to pull a fast one.
It was real good, I see several breweries and stuff like that come down, and we got the little micro brewery. I think downtown. It looks like it's super successful, and they're growing a little bit.
Yeah, Sterling Microbrew. Yeah, good folks down there. It's good to see that label Sterling, and they're going out to do festivals, and I'm proud that they can say I'm from Mount Sterling. That's where we're brewing. So
that's awesome.
Doing good things down there.
Court Day. Court Day is just a.
Coming at me like a freight train.
I'm telling you, how are you preparing for that?
Yeah, we've had a couple meetings. We learned, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
My first year, I come in and we're just tackling issues left and right.
Court Day used to be fun.
Yeah, and then I get here and it's like, okay, what's next? We just finished a couple little events. Like, well, Court Day's coming. So that first year, Court Day hit me like a ton of bricks. It happens, and it's quick and it's fast, and there's so much going on. So we've done a much better job of now meeting throughout the year to try to improve processes, work on security, make those decisions on where the bathrooms are going to be, entry, exit points, just all those things that go with Court Day that people don't really see. Recruiting, like we've done so much to try to recruit back the homemade, those type vendors, the antique vendors. In the city lots, we've had a lot of success. We're getting folks, every day that have never been here that are reaching out and wanting to come to Court Day.
Right.
We've Channel 36, year after year, we're winning Best Festival. So, people are seeing that there's a lot of good with Court Day. We know you got to keep working on it, because we know, having grown up here, what Court Day once was. I doubt we're ever going to get back to what it once was, but we got to figure out how we can make improvements to keep it viable.
You got, as vendors, I would imagine that some of the give or take is obviously from vendor spots to, the cost of vendor spots to how much, however much the vendor spot is how much people are charging for the product and parking. I've seen from Court Day where parking was maybe on the high end, and then a couple of years ago it was real low, like it was more affordable.
Right.
But as you mentioned, then you're also competing with maybe a Preston type. Like, so what is the thinking of the process from there? How do we keep more of those vendors, or how do we recruit more vendors and getting them to say, hey, Montgomery County is where it's at. We need, And I know it's a tough process. It's really an answer.
Yeah, we could probably talk 2 hours, about Court Day alone. A lot of what we've tried to do is just make it good vendor experiences for the vendors.
Right.
Really, I've tried to stress to property owners, Court Day is unique. No other festival do you have,
everything.
8 different property owners renting out space.
Okay.
So you can control prices when you control the festival, right? We control the rules of the festival. I can control the city lots. I can control the streets, but I can't control all those individual private spaces.
Right.
And we've really tried to stress that we need them to, really try to look seriously at the pricing and to make sure that they're getting good pricing. Because if someone comes here and sets up for 4 days and they don't turn a profit, they're not coming back.
Right.
So I know everybody wants to make money, but we got to be considerate about those vendors that are coming here and letting them make a little money while they're here too.
You brought a very good point, because I think a lot of people think, well, the city lots, as you mentioned, you can kind of control that a little bit on pricing, but a lot of people don't understand that there are a lot of private spots down there that
front yards.
That people.
It's capitalism at its finest, and if you do charge too much, you're going to have empty spots because vendors just can't do it. The city lots are practically full. We generally don't have anything left. But that's because we have a fair pricing model. We feel we're not trying to make money. We're just trying to break even.
Right.
And we don't even break even. The city loses. Everybody makes money on this festival with the city. The city does not make any money on this. You think about it. I've got all of our police department is on overtime. Public Works is on overtime. We got to do all the work to get everything set up. We got to fix everything once everybody leaves. Bathrooms are $9,500 alone just to pay for bathrooms. So those are huge costs that the city incurs to try to put this festival on.
But we're talking about Court Day, and a lot of people who watch our podcast have no clue what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about this festival, because at this festival you can buy a corn dog, you can buy a Gucci purse, you can buy a North Face jacket, and you can buy a shotgun and not move 10 feet to do it.
That's true.
and have the potential to win the
mullet. You can win a mullet contest. You two need to work on it.
No.
Look, here's what I want to do, and I'll do this if they'll set the rules this way. I will go to Court Day, and everybody cut their hair down to nothing, and we'll do the mullet contest for what you can do in 1 year.
1 year, okay.
Yeah, that you start the year before.
So that way it's fair to everybody.
And it's fair to everybody that's in it.
Yeah.
The contest goes a year, and I'll shave it down and I'll do a mullet.
We'll keep that in mind. All right. I'll workshop that and see if I can get any traction.
These guys got years of growth on
them.
They do.
Yeah, some beautiful mullets there.
Man.
And it's been so much fun. Adults, the kids are so much fun. When there was one child that won the first year, he had the name Buck Wild. I mean, when you are a child and your nickname is Buck Wild, there's something special about this kid, So, but seeing the kids get out there and have fun, that's been a nice addition to the festival. But James, you're right. There's something for everybody at Court Day. And that's what I think part of the fun of it is what can I discover, that's right around that next corner. You can get, there's just so much stuff you can get. Like when we go to Court Day, we're always thinking about what's going to be the thing this year. Right. Is it going to be the big collapsible ball, the toy? There's always some toy that every kid's running around with. Those stupid barking dogs. Gosh, we got 2 of them. There's just everything. People walking around, like there's some culture shock for people that come here, because there's a lot of people walking around with guns. Right. And I've never known there to be a super problem that happened because of that, but people trade guns and buy guns. And if you're, in the state of Kentucky, I think the law allows that you can buy a gun right there. At Court Day. As long as it's through an authorized dealer. And all those guys down there are dealers, and that they have their license to be able to do that. And that's a neat thing. So yeah, that is a neat thing, and it's a unique thing about our festival.
Right.
If the laws ever change, federal laws ever change on that, and they make it more difficult to obtain that firearm,
Right.
it could really hurt our festival, because that's one of the things that people come for. That's the tradition that's still there.
Yeah,
is the
we're gun
trading
lane,
and
yeah.
bartering of firearms. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's. But that you're right. That can be a culture shock for somebody that comes the first time and they've not grown up with that. For us, that's just court day.
Yeah, there's
But
kids jump houses around and people
Yeah.
carrying their guns around.
it's part of the fun,
Yeah.
right?
And Milestone does a great job, because it seems like there's something going on every month.
Yeah.
If it's a Court Day festival, if it's a small town America festival, if it's First Fridays, you got the Christmas
Prayed. Oh my goodness.
parade.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Big tree, the big tree.
That's right,
The
yeah.
lines, I believe the new dollar
The
store.
new one out
The
on
old
East
bank.
Main.
The old Bearman. Sorry, the old Bearman is down there. People are asking, do we have enough dollar stores? That's always.
No, we do not. The answer is no.
Evidently, we didn't, because they built that one, right?
Right, that's right. Yeah, so that's what I kind of told them.
Yeah, dollar stores. One, well, I'll get that comment sometimes
Yeah.
of, why is someone coming in? And I say, Mount Sterling's open to everybody. We're not
Right.
going to tell anybody you can't be here. So if Dollar Store wants to build a building, then certainly we're going to support them in doing that. And evidently, they've got a model that works. So who am I to question
That's
it?
right. Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not-
it looks better than that.
Yeah.
What was down there, right? Like
Yeah.
what it was there.
Yeah,
I'm
it
not
has
sure.
cleaned that area up.
Yeah,
So it looks
absolutely.
a lot better down there.
I'm not sure that a dollar store, I think they've got an idea that they're going to put up enough stores so that those 5 or 6 in every county sell as much merchandise as the one Walmart would if it was there.
Yeah, that's a much larger discussion, but I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's
I mean, I think that's
their business model. I believe is you can't take on the giant head on sometimes, but you can peck away at the edges, and
And they'll sell
evidently
more.
it's working. So-
They'll sell more pop than Walmart will. Over their 5 or 6 stores.
Or pop,
out there.
right. I've stopped in there to get a sandwich and some nabs and that sort of thing. So it's convenient.
Yeah.
And for those folks that live in that area, that's
it's
a
convenient for them.
good benefit and good addition to
Get a
their
lawn chair.
neighborhood.
You can go in there and get a lawn chair.
Yeah.
You can't do that at a gas station.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So it's a-
So
Well, to finish up some of my question, and maybe jumping into some budget and like some of the physical responsibilities. We talk about, as a mayor, you mentioned it earlier, as far as being an independent, and it's nonpartisan, so forth, with the city council. Like, how does one really prioritize where this money goes, or where the taxpayer dollars go? You know what I mean? I know you focused on a lot of grants and maybe money that taxpayers don't really have to put in, but we talk about infrastructure and how important that is. Like, how does the city council, the mayor, and so forth decide, what, we need to make this right here the priority?
yeah, well, good question. And so let me back up. We start our budget process about March, April every year, and knowing what revenue's coming in, which our big 3 in revenue is occupational taxes, property taxes, and insurance premium taxes. That's where we make most of our revenue. And then we get a lot through a lot of different, bank deposit taxes, franchise agreements, all court date permits. I mean, we make money in all sorts of different ways, but those are the big 3. And kind of knowing what that funding has been over the last couple of quarters lets us kind of get a feel for where are we going? What's this economy looking like? And we can look back over previous quarters and know whether we're on target or we're not. And then based on that, every department comes up with their prioritized needs. We've been very fortunate, police department, they've been trying to upgrade equipment, improve, get our vehicles fleet to where it needs to be. So we try to budget for 3 vehicles every year for them. This year we're budgeting to revamp the police station, to put a new roof on it and try to rehab and revitalize that. Public works, they're always equipment needs are many. And, we want a new street sweeper. So we're out there looking for that,
Right.
putting money aside to do that, plus all of these little internal projects we're doing, lining those up. And then you start adding the big stuff like this sidewalk project, which is $1.6 million downtown. The city has a match on that. That's 20%. So, you start lining it up. It's like your checkbook, and your budget for your own home. And you start seeing, well, where do we have a little fluff? Where are we going to be tight? And that's where we start kind of making those tough calls. Thankfully, the pension issue is starting to correct itself a bit. A couple of years ago, we were paying for police officers an employer contribution rate. For every dollar I gave a police officer, I was giving the state 49 cents. You think about that.
Yeah,
you wonder why in local government we can't give the pay raises we want, because we're putting money into saving this pension system, right? Because promises were made, and those promises have to be kept. So thankfully that's come down a bit, and that's helped free us. I think we're at 44 cents on every dollar now, but that's saving a nickel per dollar. It starts adding up. So that's allowed us to, with that coming down and that trending down, to open up a few funds that we were spending there that we can start putting toward pay raises and those type things. So to kind of answer your question, it's a delicate dance that we start at about March of every year, and then luckily through a great city treasurer and Laura Tipton and helping us, if she don't tell us what to do. Now, Laura wouldn't let me spend any money if she could get away with it, but she's tough. You have your ducks in a row when you go see Laura. And Nathan Boston and Chief Terry Landrum know that too. If you're going to see Laura, you better have your ducks in a row. But Laura will tell us, here's what I can project that you should have, and then we make those tough decisions there. We projected more for repaving this year than we've done over the past couple of years. Like I told you before, we're so far behind in repaving city streets. But she found, through her efforts and her budgeting, she's like, I think I can find you a little more money this year so you all can get a few more streets done. Yeah. So a lot of it just depends on what we're seeing in the economy, what we're seeing, as we track that what we look like, this year compared to last year, the previous year. And as long as we're seeing those numbers look strong, then we're going to keep pushing that envelope and doing as much as we can. I have concerns about the economy going forward. You're seeing troubling signs. I know you all, you've seen the rise of interest rates, although housing seems to be still selling, and that's good. But you're seeing some larger retail chains that are closing stores. All of those are very concerning to local government because it's, that's our revenue flow. So
I pulled I was actually in a real estate class today. I pulled the interest rates from 1970 all the way to 2024. 1970, the highest interest rate was 19%.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
19%.
Yeah, you're paying 19%
on whatever,
on a small amount of money.
Right.
Now you're paying. We're paying 8% on an amount of money that's
it's right
30 times that.
It's floating around right now about 6.5%, 7%. So
So we do, and we do. We've kind of got our wish list of things we want to do, and that's why, as a city government, we have not bitten off more than we could chew. I'm very impatient, and I do try to push the envelope as much as we can. But in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking two things. Do we outpace ourselves money-wise? We don't want to do that. And then, with what we're doing, what's our liabilities that we're taking on? Those are kind of two things I'm always looking at. We may be able to afford it now. It sounds good, but can we maintain it, right? And so sometimes we have to put a project off for a year or two to make sure that we're going to be able to adequately not only, take that project on, but maintain it afterwards. That's what pays for employees. I mean, that's been gut-wrenching. Coming in, we have done everything we can to try to raise the level of pay for our employees, and you want to do it all at once, but you can't outpace your revenue. So we've had to incrementally make those rate changes, and it's paid off. We've got us to a better point now, but we've been trying to compete with bigger cities, and we just can't. They just got more revenue than we do. So thankfully, we're in a good place now, but it's been a challenge.
Thank you, guys. We'll be back with more after these messages.
Out There Winning podcast is brought to you in part by Dubby, your taste buds' favorite energy drink.
Follow your bubby over to Facebook and click on the W. Get a 10% discount with our code Out There Winning. Fishes and Honeycomb Children's Boutique, where every outfit tells a story and every toy sparks imagination.
From beautiful dresses to adorable t-shirts, we have the perfect ensemble for every occasion.
Fishes and Honeycomb Children's Boutique at fishesandhoneycomb.com. Also, follow us on Facebook. Great Yard Prime Wash, Pressure Wash, and Soft Wash Services.
Destroy and grind, one house at a time. Contact Great Yard Prime Wash at greatyardprimewash.com.
Pool Brothers. Turn your backyard into a dream oasis.
Complete pool installations from start to finish. Contact Pool Brothers at poolbrothers.com.
Chill Zone CBD at chillzonecbd.com.
Discover the natural benefits of CBD with our premium products. Whether you're seeking for relaxation, relief, or rejuvenation, our CBD's offerings have you covered.
Your journey to natural relief starts at Chill Zone CBD. chillzonecbd.com.
X-Powered Travel.
Escape the ordinary and explore the